to speak earlier, so I won't go too far into an introduction. We are limited on time. There's three main reasons why the community needs to support GI resistance. First, soldiers are in a position to change things. They can put their hands on the gears of war and slow it down to a screeching halt. Second, enlisted men and women and their families are natural allies of popular movements. Large numbers of military families depend on WIC, food stamps, and other forms of welfare. Healthcare is deplorable in the Army, and when they get out, healthcare is even worse. Third, if the military decides to violate posse comitatus again and send armed soldiers to deal with protesters, they might be less likely to comply with their orders. The military sent soldiers armed with shotguns to Port Olympia, and one put down his weapon and walked away from his peers. There could be a whole lot more of this sort of thing if protesters can convince soldiers that they're protesting in solidarity with them rather than as adversaries. So we formed the GI Voice Project. The GI Voice Project is a three-tiered approach to promoting GI rights and GI resistance. GIVoices.com is the first time of our trident. It provides a forum for soldiers, veterans, and their families to speak out about their experiences. It also provides a wealth of information on their rights, as well as links to organizations that can help them. The second element of GI Radio, or the second element is GIRadio.org, an online radio station streaming music, information, and unfiltered news to soldiers around the world. And the third tier is the GI Coffee House that we will be opening within a stone's throw of the gates of Fort Lewis. This will be a meeting place for soldiers to learn about their rights and about the movement. We need tens of thousands of dollars to complete this project, and we aim to have it open by midsummer. You can donate to the project by going to the GI Voice table next to the IVAW table down there. And then there's a sign-up sheet for anyone who'd like to volunteer time or equipment. But we can't rely solely on GI resistance to end this war. We would need to recognize that there's elements in our community that are directly supporting the war. Every time a striker is destroyed, the computers that utilize Intel chips and Microsoft software have to be replaced. From the point of view of these companies, the more soldiers that die, the more money they make. How much money does Microsoft or Intel make off each soldier that dies in Iraq? How much money does Boeing make on precision-guided bombs or through its subsidiary Jefferson that aids in the CIA's rendition program? To these war profiteers, the outcome of the war is inconsequential as long as they're making money. This isn't a new concept. IBM made M1 carbines for the U.S. soldiers during World War II. They also made and serviced punch card machines for the Nazis, which they used to track Jews from the ghettos to gas chambers. War profiteers are the real winners anymore. There are things that we as private citizens can do to end this. First and foremost, we can stop being good citizens. We can strive to be bad citizens in every facet of our daily lives. Our children. Good citizens owned and worked slaves in the time during and leading up to the Civil War. It's bad citizens who formed the Underground Railroad. Good citizens wave the flag and march in lockstep with this government. Bad citizens create sanctuary spaces for AWOL soldiers. Bad citizens blockade ports when they're being used to transport military equipment. And bad citizens find ways to make war profiteers less profitable. So here we are, we're winding this down and we're getting ready to take to the streets, and I certainly hope that you take all this with you and that it gives you the outrage that you need to see this through to completion. We need to be a thorn in the side of every authority figure at every level of government. If this war ends and we have not made fundamental changes to our government, just as the war in Vietnam ended, then we will be complicit in the next war of aggression that the United States engages in. We will be complicit in the proxy wars fought in Africa, and the blood of the people of the Niger Delta will be on our hands. If we end this war and leave the imperialist structure in place, then we've accomplished nothing. We need to stop trying to work within the system. The system is the problem. asking them to stop. In the same way, it's Pollyannish to believe that their politician, any politician, can deliver us from this evil. If real change comes, it will come from us, and not from some lying politician.
Who resigned in opposition to the war in Iraq back in March of 2003. So it's with great pleasure that I'm up here with these war resistors. We all are resisting this war, and that's why you are here. One of the great booklets that's come out of the United States, and it happened to come out of the northwest of the United States, was for Aaron Watana's Citizens Tribunal last year, and these are being passed around. Take them home because they are a key, all the documentation you need about why this war is wrong and why we need to end it is in this book. So take these copies home with you. We do need to be unreasonable. We need to be bold, and I want to acknowledge Diane Wilson out here, who's one of our great unreasonable women of the world. Diane, would you stand up? Diane was in the Army also at the same time I was. She didn't stay 29 years in the Army. She left the Army. She deserted and she went to Canada. And she's one of our people that have been in Canada as a war resistor. And she's always talking about us being bold and being unreasonable. And when she was sitting on the top of a Secret Service booth at the White House and would not come down from there and got arrested for it, that's being bold. Yeah, that's the kind of boldness we need. And in fact, tomorrow we'll be going up to Canada because there is a meeting of the war resistors in Canada. And Medea Benjamin, and Diane Wilson will be going up there. Medea and I have been excluded from Canada. I don't know if you heard about that. You know, peaceful, nonviolent protest, the Bush administration criminal policies can get you on the FBI's list. The National Crime Information Center database is what we're on, and the Canadians are using it to exclude us from going to Canada. Well, you just can't sit back and let that happen. So you have to just keep going back and back. And now when we have a great meeting of the war resistors that are living in Canada, that have lived in Canada since the Vietnam War, and these men and women that you see in this wonderful, wonderful movie up there. So we're going to go up there to do a keynote tomorrow, and we're going to also be putting pressure on the Canadian government. Canadian government that we want them to save our young men and women that are up there. They need to stay there. They do not need to be sent back to a country that is a torturing country, that is a military that we know our military has tortured other people in other parts of the world, and why the Canadians would send these men and women who are objecting to a war that the Canadians will not even agree to go in, and now they're trying to send it back here. Well, it's up to us. We've got today, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday. Courage to Resist has the website that has all the parliamentarians to write to, email them, call them. We want that Canadian Parliament to save those war resistors up in Canada. We also want to get up there into Canada tomorrow. If we don't, we'll probably be back here in Seattle tomorrow afternoon. But all of these fights are important, every one of them, to force the Canadian government and our governments to do the will of the people. So it's time that we be bold, it's time that we be unreasonable. Let's end this war and bring our troops home now. Thank you.
IVAW, and I'm here to ask you guys one question. You guys ready to march or what? Ready? Everybody, let's meet out in front, and we're going to turn up the streets. Let's do this.